In the global economy, finding, developing, and holding on to talent is crucial. So it's very important for countries to address this often complex challenge. Today, that comes with rising joblessness, skills shortage, and the hunt for the best and brightest. We're about to find out, for the first time, how to evaluate country performance. Today, INSEAD is launching the Global Talent Competitive Index. And today, we are joined by the two authors of that index, Bruno Lanvin, who is the Executive Director of Global Indices, and Paul Evans, the Academic Director of the Global Talent Competitiveness Index. Gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to INSEAD Knowledge. Tell me, how did you configure this index? What methodology did you use?
Well, we benefited from the experience that INSEAD had acquired already in doing similar global indices, the Global Information Technology Index and the Global Innovation Index. This index is what we call an input-output index. It has 6 pillars, 4 on the input side, 2 on the output side, and relies on a set of 48 variables. Basically, input is what a country does to stimulate its ability to grow, attract and retain talent. And the output side reflects how much it is getting out of it, both on what we call the labor skills and the global knowledge skills.
Well, what are the key findings from creation of this index?
If you look at the top country in the world, it's Switzerland. And it's closely followed by 2 other countries which take talent competitiveness very seriously, Singapore out in Asia and Denmark. I think you can say that the top 10 are all developed countries. There's a very close relationship between talent competitiveness and economic development, obviously. There you have among the top 10, these are all countries, by the way, which take the development of people very seriously. Their good education, a long history of attention to growing talent. Among the top 10, you have the Nordic countries, which are strongly represented. Apart from Denmark, you have Sweden and Finland and Iceland, and then you also have the UK, you have the United States, you have Netherlands and Luxembourg. I think I'd say the thing about Switzerland is that it is strong across all of the input and the output indicators that Bruno was mentioning a minute ago.
I see. What were the main reasons behind the winners and the losers in this index?
Well, we see different rationales. As Paul just mentioned, the key ingredient is that countries that show how much importance they are devoting to issues of skills and talents generally are pretty high on the ranking. We can consider that there are 3 groups of countries or 3 types of countries where this interest is very clear. The first one is those countries who absolutely need talent, generally because they are small countries. They have the income, they have the resources, they have the infrastructure, but they just need the people that their demography does not generate. This is why you have small countries, typically like Switzerland, like Singapore, very close to the top in this ranking. The second group is also large industrial countries, which generally have a tradition of being immigration lands. This is why you have the US, you have Australia, you have Canada, which have always been open to attracting talent and people from outside. And there's a third category, which is the category of emerging, developing countries who need the talent typically to develop their infrastructure, to develop their economy, to nurture their growth.
I see. You know, in most competitive indicators that I've seen, the U.S. typically ranks first or second in the world, but I noticed in this indicator, they rank 9th. Why is the U.S. further down in this index?
Well, it's not all indices where the U.S. is ranked high. If you take another of the INSEAD indices, which is the Innovation Index, the U.S. is ranked on innovation currently in the 5th place in the world. Now, the U.S. is very well positioned. It's particularly strong in certain areas, which is the area of higher education. But then if you contrast higher education with the problem that the US has in basic school education, large classes, people who leave secondary school with insufficient skills in terms of literacy and numeracy, the US has, if you like, some areas of weakness. It's a country which is quite strong on attraction, but at the present time, its ability to attract people is strongly constrained by the post-9/11 problems around immigration, as people like Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, who are really trying to get things opened up, are well aware. And you have some challenges in the US, such as social mobility. The Horatio Alger myth is indeed rags to riches is not quite true today. And as some people would say, you know, if you want to get ahead in life, if you want to live the American dream, go to Denmark.
Why is Germany in a lower position than probably what we would perceive?
We must not forget that Germany is in the top 20. So it's not a country that's doing poorly, it's doing well. But because Germany is the example of a country in Europe who has kept a very strong industrial base, as opposed to other countries who move more to services industries, it still lacks engineers. It produces a lot of engineers, but German industry says we need more technicians, we need more engineers. So this is reflected also in a negative balance in terms of talent, which pushes the performance of Germany down.
And that actually leads to another important point. Bear in mind that we're distinguishing between two types of talent. There's the vocational talent, which is important, and that is measured. And there's also what we call global knowledge skills, which is, if you like, the higher end of talent. Now, the thing about a country like Switzerland is it scores high on both of these. You have a country like France, which is much higher on the global knowledge skills, but lacks the vocational skills. Germany comes out as very strong, for example, on the vocational skills, and that's no surprise, for example, given the strength of the German apprenticeship system and so on, but it lacks some of the entrepreneurship that is shown in other countries. Those vocational skills are particularly important for countries which are at lower stages of economic development. It's not the global knowledge skills which are important.
What do you see as the main implications of this index?
I think we have to remember the tremendous skills gap which exists at the present period of time, which is we've got this tremendous problem which is not only in Europe, it's across the world, of young people who are looking for jobs. And yet, on the other hand, we have in sectors like IT and so forth there, a large number of jobs available. How do we fill this gap? What are the measures? I think it's clear, and I hope that the report will and the ranking will act as a stimulus, that this is not just a problem that government on its own can resolve, or that corporations can resolve, or educational systems. It's going to require partnerships. And in some of the chapters, we allude and give examples of some of these partnerships there to close these skill gaps. Because what we're talking about is, on the one hand, we're talking about the competitive development of economies there, but we're talking about people's lives. So there are very important issues which are at stake.
I see. Well, Bruno Lanvin and Paul Evans, thank you for joining us today on INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you.